Yeah, David YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Today is a super special video for me because I'm going to be discussing my move to Atlanta. It is my 1-year anniversary of moving to Atlanta. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I will take a second and pause so you can go ahead and subscribe. Right there. You see it? Yeah. Okay, you got it. Okay, thank you. So I moved from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. For those of you who don't know much about Philly, that's okay. It's really not much to say. It's a good little city, but it is a tiny city in comparison to Atlanta. And my experience here has been very interesting, to say the least. Would I recommend it? It really depends on the kind of person you are and the kind of lifestyle you are looking for. So I moved here January 15, 2020, as I said. I moved down with my boyfriend at the time, and we really just overnight decided, yeah, we're gonna move to Atlanta. Because I was tired of Philly and I needed something new, something fresh. And I'm a nomad by nature. Like, I don't like to sit still. I love traveling. I love living in new places and experiencing new places. So it was only a matter of time before I found somewhere. I had graduated school from University of Pittsburgh, and I was in Philly for 2.5 years at that point, and I was over it. Like, I had saturated Philly. I had visited Atlanta a couple of times prior to moving here, maybe like more like 7 or 8 times I had visited here. My fiance had never been here before me. A month and a half before, I decided, yeah, I'm definitely going to Atlanta. Me and him took a trip down here, and we toured a bunch of apartments, visited a bunch of spots. We just had a blast, and that definitely sealed the deal for him. And he was like, all right, we going to Atlanta then. It is what it is, period. So he didn't say that, but you know what I mean. We packed up our life and drove down here. We actually picked an apartment that was not any of the ones that we toured, but just the one that we found online that had great reviews. And it was actually a really great apartment, our first apartment. We really enjoyed it. So the only reason that we left our previous apartment is because it was very expensive and the fees just kept increasing. And so we could have done it, stayed there, but it just wouldn't have been smart with our goals, trying to maintain and grow our savings and assets and all these other things. So we had decided that we were going to move out of that place pretty early on, but we just stayed as long as we felt like we wanted to adjust to Atlanta and adjust to the neighborhoods. And we got really lucky because we had never visited that place. It looked how it looked online in person. When you're moving to Atlanta, there's a really big thing about these apartment complexes and their websites because they will catfish you. I made a list of about 15 or 20 places for us to visit. Online, it looks like Buckingham Palace, but once you get there in person, it looks like a halfway house. It doesn't look put together. You might see a critter run across your foot. Like, it's really not cute. So it's really important that you do your due diligence and do your homework and figuring out locations, areas, neighborhoods. Is it close to your job? Because you don't want to have to be stuck in Atlanta traffic on your way to work. Like, that's nasty. The other thing about here that can be annoying as far as the apartment thing goes, Georgia has these bugs. We were touring a home with a realtor and she really tried to make it really pretty. I think she called it the palmetto. Honey, they're water bugs. If you're from Philly, they water bugs, okay? They are huge, chunky little, they're big cockroach family bugs, okay? Apparently they're native to Georgia. I need to look that up, but she did say that they were native to here and that it would be hard to escape them if you purchased a home, or in certain apartments they were definitely there. You could see them when we toured certain apartments, and that's just not for me. I don't do well with critters, like, at all. Yeah, no, I don't do critters. Atlanta seems to have a little bit of something for everybody. The first thing that I think about when I think about living in Atlanta is entrepreneurship. There's really a pro and a con to every topic that I'm going to touch on today. With the entrepreneurship thing, it's a pro because it's really awesome to see so many hardworking Black young people and above who are really making a name for themselves, becoming their own bosses, encouraging other people to boss up, etc. That's a really awesome energy to be around. You will find that there are a lot of opportunities to network, get to know people who are in similar industries as you, kind of bounce ideas off of each other as you grow in your direction of whatever business you want to create. You'll find that there's a ton of opportunity here for you to create those connections that will last a lifetime potentially as you are building towards the best part of your career. On the flip side, the con to the entrepreneurship booming down here so much is that you will come across a lot of people who do not have your best intentions at heart, because they are focused so much on their own brand and on their own success that there is no room for you to also succeed, if that makes sense. The entrepreneurship runs deep down here, and that's for sure. With that being said, it brings me to my next point of the job market down here is different. If you're in a finance career, I think that you might be okay in terms of you're not gonna really miss the difference in income, but every other industry that I've investigated, there's definitely a gap in the payment schedule down here, and I'm not here for it, because if I'm about anything, I'm about my money, and if I'm gonna be anywhere, is where the money resides.
What the what? What a money reside, what a money reside, what a money reside, what a money reside.
And the money does not reside down here in Atlanta unless you are your own, like unless you're a business person. For example, I'm in nursing. The nurses down here start at $21 an hour at some hospitals, I would say on average like $23 to $27 an hour, which is less than $60K a year. And I think that if you look at all of the states from 0 to 50, Atlanta is like number 45 out of 50 in terms of worst paid as far as nurses go. Whereas, you know, I'm coming from Pennsylvania, which is like number 10, 15. Pennsylvania pays their nurses pretty well. And yes, you could say, well, it's in comparison to the cost of living, but no, it's really not, because Atlanta is not cheap, which will be my next point. But it could pay off if you lived here as your permanent residence and then you went ahead and travel nurse. I really do love the idea of working at Northside Hospital, because you guys know I want to be a mother baby, labor and delivery nurse, potentially a NICU nurse. And Northside Hospital births the most babies of, I believe, any hospital in the country. Don't quote me on that. I think so though. And so that would be a really great opportunity. However, making $21 an hour, doing all the work that I have to do, that's not appealing to me one bit. How much money I've invested into my education, yeah, y'all gonna pay me my worth. And that's on Mary Had a Little Lamb. If you live in Bumblefuck, Georgia, that's one thing. Of course, the cost of living is dirt cheap. You can get a 20-bedroom house for $2, but nobody wants to live in the outskirts of Atlanta. You want to be in the action, you want to be in the center of the city, you want to be accessible to things. And so while the cost of living might be kind of low on the outside parts, inside the perimeter of Atlanta, it is not cheap. And depending on the kind of person you are, in terms of how much you care about brands, how much you care about your appearance and stuff, it can be even more expensive, because there's a lot of pressure to keep up with the Joneses in terms of your hair, having your wigs laid, lashes, nails. There's quite a bit to do here. There's a lot of nature, wildlife that exists here. And if you're somebody who's really into like doing outdoorsy stuff, this would be a perfect place for you, because there's so many cool parks and areas that pretty much just get lost in the nature, such as Piedmont Park. I really love Piedmont Park. For me, it's like a baby Central Park, or like a bigger version of Rittenhouse Park if you're from the Philly area, but it's more like Central Park in New York to me. Same can be said of Stone Mountain National Park. Wonderful park. I have yet to even make my way through even half of the park because it's so large. We usually drive to one area and walk around it and stuff and explore, and then we go somewhere else. So yes, there's a lot of national parks in the Atlanta area, and even further out if you're willing to drive in Georgia. There's other national parks as well. The Little Grand Canyon is here. I think it's like 2 hours south of Atlanta. So there's plenty to do on the nature physical aspect. So that part is really good, because I do enjoy being out in nature, as is my fiance. Another thing that I will say about living here so far, one of the reasons that I was excited to move here was because I thought that the weather would be much better than up north. However, Atlanta is chilly, okay? It's cold. There's been several times when I've looked at my weather app and I've seen that the temperature in Philadelphia is warmer than the temperature here. Since I've been here, we've had like 3 or 4 tornado situations that I've always said I don't want to live anywhere that has too many natural disasters. And here I am, borderline in Tornado Alley, and it's not cute. The first time I heard a tornado siren, I about lost my mind. But it was fine, it wasn't that big of a deal. But for all of those storms, we did lose power, and I feel like we lose power quite a bit down here, and that's frustrating. The other thing that I'm not too fond of being here as well is the fact that car insurance is very expensive. The amount that I pay in car insurance down here is literally about double the amount that I pay up north. I'm not sure if drivers in Georgia just suck that much that the companies have the ability to up the insurance premiums that much. Obviously, I am not a single person. However, I do have my eyes and ears open for my friends that I've made down here so far who are single and who are looking to be in a relationship. Men are way too comfortable living a double life. That's something that I just didn't know was a thing down here. Initially, of course, I've heard about men having beards for a very long time. Not like a beard, but like a woman posing as their wife or their girlfriend, but they're really gay or they're down low or whatever it is. I've heard about that my entire life. Like, that's not anything new. But the double life thing, that's a little bit crazy to me, because you have a whole child, a whole wife, but you out here posing as a single person and dating. Like, that's weird. There might be a guy who approaches me or a guy that I approach for one of my friends, and I'm like talking to them, and then, you know, they might say something to me or might try to allude to wanting to get to know me better, and I'll be like, oh no, like I'm very not available. I'm very happy that I'm not available. Like, I have a fiance, he's great. Would you like me to invite him with us to whatever date you're trying to take me on? Like, all three of us could chill. You know, like, I just mess with them like that. And there's been more than a few times that the guy has come back and said, oh, you got a man? That's cool. I got a wife. Like, you know, it don't even matter. They not here right now, though, are they? Huh? Just like that? Like, that's trifling. That's trifling. And that's the kind of trifling stuff that I keep coming across. I don't know. The age that I am now, I feel like it's a good experience for me to be here, to be surrounded by so many thriving young adults. But I feel like I can find a group of educated, strong, young black people somewhere else that might be a little bit better for me. So I don't know how long I'm going to stay in Atlanta yet, but I do know this first year has been interesting. I feel like I've learned a lot. I have made some quality friends, and I made some not so quality acquaintances. If you are somebody who's young, you're looking for a good time, you're looking for a fast life, you have a lot of free time, you're single, then it might be a really, really awesome place for you to thrive, meet people, mingle. Okay, my camera is dying. So the last thing that I will say about my living in Atlanta is that there's a really, really strong immigrant population, and that is something that I look for in anywhere that I live as a person who is an immigrant. And my fiance is also an immigrant. Being surrounded by my culture or having access to my culture is of A1 importance for me in terms of my quality of life and my happiness. So where I live now, I live like in the Decatur area. We are very close to like Lithonia, Stone Mountain, Tucker, Norcross. We're very close to a lot of areas on the east side that have huge Jamaican populations, and so it's very cool for me to see that there are a ton of transplant Jamaican folk in the area. In fact, our first week here, the girl who had checked us out at Whole Foods was Jamaican, and she heard us yelling at each other in patois, and she was like, oh my gosh, you guys are from Jamaica, which part of Jamaica you come from? And it was like, oh my god, yo, swear. You know, like when you see your people, I'm sure, like, you know, even like black people, African Americans, you guys can relate as well. When you see your people somewhere in a place where there's nobody else that looks like you, you really feel connected. Like, she heard us speaking our talk, and she was like, ah, like, you know, it was very, very awesome. And so yes, I love to be surrounded by my people. I love Caribbean events, which I've been to a few, and I understand that there's also a really big carnival event here in the summertime, but we haven't got to experience it because of panoramic. So on the one hand, I feel like I can't even properly judge Atlanta because we've missed out on so many key events and reasons for why people love living here due to COVID, but from what I've seen so far, it's okay, especially great for a young person who needs a fresh start. For me personally, I don't think this is the city for me, but I will give it another year or two to figure it out, continue to make my connections, and we will see where it takes me. So of course my camera died, but yes, I will give it another year or two living in Atlanta, and then we will see where it takes us. So that is all I have for this video today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know if you are already living in Atlanta, thinking about moving to Atlanta, or you just wanted to watch the video just because. That's okay too. But I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching,